Let's call the meeting.
Dennis? Terry?
I'm gonna rise and say the pledge of allegiance.
Right, you're running.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jenny David. Here. Roger Mayhew.
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Here.
Mark Serbrook.
Present.
Craig Scott.
Here.
Oath of offices. Nobody came in early, so we all.
Oh.
Oath of office.
Coffee's delicious.
I could have those.
Fine. You guys want to stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Commissioner in and for the County of Ogemaw according to the best of your ability?
I do. I do. I do.
Just need signatures, and you guys are official.
Official okey dokey.
Official okey dokey.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Yep, and then I will make copies of these and put them in your mailboxes. Okay. Is this me too, the resolution? Okay. So the board chairperson must be elected each odd number year for a 2-year term unless the board provides by resolution or board rule that the chair shall be elected annually for a 1-year term. If it is the desire of the board to limit the term of the chairperson to 1 year, then a resolution to adopt a 1-year term should be approved before a chairperson is elected. If a 2-year term is preferred, then no action is necessary.
I move to establish a 1-year term for the chairperson. I support that.
Any discussion?
Is this where we would nominate?
Not yet.
No. Okay, been 2 years since we did this.
Yeah, not yet. No discussion? His are all good. Roll call vote. Roger Mayhew,
No.
Charles Wiltie,
Yes.
Mark Serbrook,
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Jenny David.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. All right, at this time, I will call for nominations for the office of chairperson.
I nominate Jenny David.
I'll support.
I support, yeah.
Any other nominations?
I'll move that we close nominations. Support.
Okay. We have motion by Roger Mayhew, second by Craig Scott to nominate Jenny David for chairperson. Roll call vote. Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
Mark Serbrook.
Yes.
Craig Scott.
Yes.
Jenny David.
Yes.
Roger Mayhew.
Yes.
Oh, we didn't ask if you wanted it.
Nobody asked me anything.
Wait, okay. So
You been hearing that train?
as a, if we're at this point, can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
No, not an old boy. You know, the way we've been conducting business, and I'm not, is just the mention of comment or question fine with you?
Say that again?
Like when discussion's happening and, you know, Charlie and I do the same kind of thing. We just go question and then wait for you. Is that okay with you?
I guess it typically it is. Again, if it's, as long as somebody else is done, I try to give everybody a fair opportunity.
Yeah.
And I get to the point at times where, okay, it's time to move on, because we could continue to go on and on and on with the topic, and everybody seems, not everybody, but some people like to get the last word. And so at times it probably does come across a little straightforward, but it is time to move on. But I do try very hard to give everybody ample opportunity to speak. So I think, yeah, I haven't had a problem with that, but
Okay.
sometimes it's difficult to keep you in line.
I know.
Not always, you've made
My friends
strides.
like to tell me how I get the hand once in a while.
You've made strides, but I think it's our job to remain very professional.
You're in unanimous,
So
unanimously, so
I appreciate that.
I
Even when you
hope,
don't
I hope
like
that's,
me, I appreciate
I
that.
hope that's a good sign of,
It's a compliment.
very good.
So thank you.
Now you get to take over.
We are at election of, isn't there a vice chair? Isn't that where we're at?
Yeah, number
So we
four.
open up the floor for vice chairperson nominations,
I'll nominate,
Support.
discussion,
I'll accept.
because I didn't ask yet.
I know.
I was talking.
You asked your
So-
comment.
I was gonna ask you if you're comfortable with that, because I do miss occasional meetings, whether it's work related or hunting related.
Hey, isn't that tonight?
Whatever it may be. So yeah, are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. Other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Item 5, new business, resolution to approve calendar year 2025 meeting schedule. Per the Open Meetings Act, a schedule of regular meetings must be posted by the county clerk within 10 days of approval unless otherwise changed by the board. The proposed resolution continues past practice of holding regular meetings of the board on the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 5:30 PM and committee of the whole meetings on the first and third Thursday of each month at 5:30.
Have a comment.
Go ahead.
I know it's just something that, we're back and forth on, and, we really want to try to make it work for, all the commissioners. We know the importance of our positions. There is a part of me that wouldn't mind having 2 morning meetings and 2 afternoon meetings, but I also am a team player. And I know there were some things with some employment of some of the commissioners. And I was just wondering what everybody's thoughts were, 2 mornings and 2 afternoons.
I will speak and then I'll let everybody have the floor. We did go to 2 afternoon, excuse me, Commissioner Silver, just to kind of fill you in, we have kind of went back and forth
Right.
on a couple different things, but we've been, I think, in the last approximately 3 months, I would say. Would you say right around that time, Tim, we switched to 5:30 PM meetings? I personally am unable, I'll make it very, very clear with my situation has changed. I now, in Standish for McLaren still full-time. They are very gracious, for a period of time, allowing 2 mornings a month. But I do not have that option any further. So if that occurs, and I'm only 1 vote, if that occurs, I will be missing, 2 meetings a month. I'm not able to do that. I think as far as participation, from what I viewed, I haven't seen a significant decline. We do have video now, or, I can't even think, I'm sorry.
YouTube.
Not
Zoom and then it's on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Zoom is what I'm looking for. We do have Zoom now,
It's YouTube.
and we do get some participation from, elected officials and department heads. Again, I know that it's not ideal for everybody, but I think it is important. We've had consistency over the last couple of months, and I think that is important to attempt to remain. I have seen more participation by, the public, by Zoom. So that's my, I don't personally have an option. If that's the case, that's the majority, then I will have to, miss some meetings, which you have a vice chair for that. So
Comment.
go ahead.
Obviously, there's only 5 of us, and we have a lot of things going on right now, and we've had to make some really hard decisions. We're going through some of them decisions right now, and I think it's important that we are all together as much as we possibly can. I understand that at some moments in time, we can't all be at our meetings, but I think it's very important that we are. So as much as I would like to go back to the way it originally was, I don't want to see you miss 2 meetings a month. I don't think that would be good for the board, so. That's where I'm at.
Commissioner Mayhew, comments?
I'm good with the night meetings. Like I said, I have not seen the change of the people that show up.
Your work schedule, you're still employed?
Yes. I will be till I die.
Commissioner Serbrook, do you have input?
I would have liked to seen it go back, but I understand the situation you're in, and I'm on the same sheet as Charlie is. I'm fine with doing it. And if I could throw something else out there, though, I would like to see us move out of this place and go back to the county building personally. I have talked to a number of people who have watched it on YouTube, and their basic comment is, what are you guys meeting in somebody's basement now? I don't think this is a professional setting, frankly. My 2 cents worth.
There was a couple reasons. Go ahead, Tim, do you want to go ahead with that?
Yeah, primary reason was the air handler. Particularly when we had those day meetings, it was running and that was disrupting people's ability to hear what was going on. When they're shut off, then the courts in the summertime in particular get very uncomfortable upstairs. All that being said, the air handler shuts off usually between 5 and 5:30 anyway. So if we went back over there, that problem likely won't exist. Now, I don't know acoustic wise, if that makes any difference or not. That was a big reason why we came over here.
Right, it was me and Brenda. My hearing is bad. There's 2 people talking. I got nothing.
So comment on that.
With the air handlers being off though, do you think there's still gonna be an
Right,
issue?
It was fine over there until we had to turn them back on, and then like the little room in the back, you can forget that.
I don't disagree. I think it's much more professional over there, 100%. The other thing though is cost savings. We had security staying, 4 days a month for an extra 2 or 3 hours. I mean, which is pretty significant. But I don't disagree with your statement. Commissioner Scott?
I'd like to see going back, and if we remain at night, then we can make it happen. I still would like to do the committee as a whole down at the table there, but like to see some kind of a morning meeting. There's just the people that work for us are coming back after work. But we need participation. You probably won't even be able to chime in on Zoom, right? I mean, your patient wouldn't like you looking.
No, I don't have an option. And again, I asked him about this today. Then I will, I asked how many meetings you're able to miss, and I would hate for that to happen, but I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wiltie?
I already made my comment about the times. I feel it's very important with all that we have going on right now, that we're together as much as we possibly can as a full board. So with us meeting at 5:30 though, the air handlers can be shut off and Commissioner Mayhew would be okay with the hearing, right?
Yeah, as long as there ain't background noise, I'm not real bad, but like you said, even in this place, there's a couple of them jabbering out there. I'm out. I can't hear.
Yeah, I think we should.
Give it a try. The question is, what do we do with security? I mean, again, that's a cost.
Oh, you don't need to have, I mean, there's no requirement for you to have security after 4:30. I mean, that's literally was set up under a court order where the courts are done at 4:30. So it would just be a building then that's open, anybody can come to attend the meeting, which is frankly what happens here, right?
Yes, it is. The only problem with that is the security we have over there does this building sweep after the meeting. And they're there to make sure if somebody doesn't come in and then walk upstairs and hide out and are up there in the morning or all night. So, and it's pretty tough to lock the door even after the meeting starts. If somebody shows up, there's no way we'd know they were out there knocking on the door. So I would say just take on the cost.
That being said, I mean, just doing the quick math, you're between $3,000 and $5,000 for the year,
Yeah,
to do that.
you
It's
can
not a
build that in
huge cost.
contingency.
You've got enough in the contingency line if you want to move the money to do that.
I would say so.
Commissioner Wiltie?
I think with that minimal amount of costs, I don't like the additional costs, but it is minimal. We can take it from contingency. I do feel that setting over there is a more of a proper environment for what we're doing. And then we're also, county stakeholders are, working and they just want to stay a little longer and go right into our meeting. They're right there, in the county building. I think it'd be beneficial to move back over there.
We can try, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, we do have to, make exceptions when we have to. If this doesn't work, we're gonna have to figure something out.
Oh, come on.
Go ahead.
Earlier? Or is that inhibitive to,
Do what?
if went to 5 or 4:30?
The earliest I could do would be 5.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could do 5, but that's the earliest I can go.
Yeah, and if you miss the exit,
Yeah, I think we should
That happened once. We should what?
comment. I'd like to stay at 5:30, give this a try over there. Totally realizing that if it does cause problems for Commissioner Mayhew, then we will have to adjust, because obviously Commissioner Mayhew needs to be able to hear so he can be partaking in the meeting. So I think we'll just have to go off of your, review after we get back over there.
Okay.
play it by ear.
Perfect. Anything else?
Let me just walk through some of the guardrails, I guess, for lack of another word, in the schedule. First one in the second column, you see October 9th is underlined, not a big concern there. That's just the statutorily required regular meeting. The dates that you see in yellow are adjusted because of holidays. So the way the board rules are set up, if there's a holiday on a Thursday, then the meeting would be moved back to Tuesday. So June 17th, that recognizes that Juneteenth is present. No, it's on a Thursday this week, so that would be a Tuesday meeting. November 25th would take care of Thanksgiving. December 23rd would take care of Christmas and those conflicts. April 15th is also a Tuesday, and this is a meeting that by statute you're required to have on the first Tuesday following the second Monday. So this year that happens to be April 15th. And that's the equalization meeting. So we'll have Randy Booth here, obviously, for that meeting, but those are the exceptions. Otherwise, everything is a Thursday at 5:30. The others, let's see, this is a simplified version from what you've seen in the last few years, in that it doesn't include the deadline date for materials to be submitted for the board meeting itself. We're going to talk about that in a second when we get to the board rules. But this is just so that anybody looking this from public, I don't think they care what the deadline is for department heads to get stuff to you, right? They just want to know when the meetings are. So you see, reduced, I think, a simplified calendar. But definitely wanted to point out those changes to you, those 4 Tuesdays then that we'd be meeting this year because of the holidays.
Make a comment.
Go ahead.
I know this, it was kind of a last minute decision when we voted, I believe it was unanimously, to not have our December 26th meeting, which was the day after Christmas. And I think that helped a lot of us with family plans. I know for me, I had a work situation that I had to cancel because of that meeting, and, I wish we would have had more proactive motion on that. But anyways, being proactive, looking at the December 23rd date, and, people do want to travel for family, for Christmas and the holidays. Do we want to talk about not having that meeting? The 23rd of December? 2 days before Christmas?
I have no idea what I'll be doing at that point in time. I mean, I think it's good to be proactive, but I don't, how many Thursdays are in that month? It's gotta be,
There's only 4 in December.
We have a meeting the 18th.
I take that back. December 30th would also be a Thursday. Double check.
I don't know, I would think so. It's gotta be one more after that.
Because the first would have to be the same day as Christmas.
No, December 30th is a Tuesday. I'm sorry. That's right. That December 23rd date is a Tuesday. So the Thursdays are the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. Obviously, we're
Well,
not.
the 23rd is a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that date, but
I mean, we can,
Do
it's
we,
just a thought.
keep
do
it in.
we skip the Christmas week and just have a meeting the following week on the 30th?
That's an idea.
And then have 3 in that month?
Well, that'd be
I
4
mean-
with the 30th. That'd be 4.
No, I mean, skip the 23rd meeting that whole week, skip that meeting.
And have it the 30th.
Would the 30th then become the 4th meeting?
It could, I mean, it's a Tuesday, but that's the only,
Well, no, I mean.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's the previous Tuesday, the previous Thursdays?
that's the 25th.
Okay, so it'd be 4th, 11th,
18.
18th. And then
The 30th.
the 30th isn't Thursday. The
30th.
first of the month, the New Year's Day would be Thursday.
Right.
So then have it on the 30th, then we'd have the 4th, 11th, 18th and 30th. That'd give us 4 in that month. And then the following month, there are 5 Thursdays, so then we would have the 8th, 15th, 22nd and 29th in January. That make sense?
We only need 4 in January. Why would we need 5?
No, there would be 5 Thursdays in
Right, but
January
we only
of
need 4
of
meetings.
26.
That's the way it's on
But the-
schedule already too, is the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, the 29th.
Because the first being.
Oh, it is.
Okay, then.
I see that last line.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then I would say make the December 23rd meeting, the December 30th.
Just change.
That's fine.
I like that.
Perfect.
I don't need that much preparation before New Year's Eve because I fall asleep at 10 o'clock anyway.
Anything else? Anything else, Tim?
Nope.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we adopt the meeting schedule as proposed with a change to December 30th from the 23rd.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 5B, resolution to approve Board of Commissioners rules of procedure. Rules of procedure should be reaffirmed at the organizational meeting for the new term. This review should occur every 4 years as a new board takes place. The board may modify the rules at any time during the course of the term. Approval of the resolution will establish Board of Commissioners rules of procedure for the term beginning January 1st, 2025. Tim, do you want to add, I guess, does someone first want to entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Scott,
Support.
support by Commissioner Serbrook. Tim, you want to take the floor? There's some changes here, some highlights.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk you through some things, some notes I've taken over the last couple of years that have been suggested. The first one, the time of the regular meetings, clearly we're not doing the 9 AM, so that first sentence is corrected. Unless otherwise changed by the board, regular meetings shall begin at 5:30 PM. All right, so we've already talked about that with the calendar. The second item is under our section 5.2, and this just concerns the format of documents that are submitted for your consideration. This would loosen the standard up a little bit. Currently, it states that we would follow a standard format that I developed, and as a minimum, it would have to include the 7 elements that you see here. What I'm just suggesting is we don't make that so rigid, that we have a standard, or that we do want these documents submitted prior to board time, but they could include any of the following or all as they apply. So that's the background, the alternatives, financial impact, and so forth. Pretty well do this through the resolutions anyway, but this doesn't put that burden on the department head to come up with a specific format to get something in front of you. The distribution of materials, particularly interested in the part that's highlighted in yellow. Commissioners shall be entitled to receive such materials not later than the close of business on the Tuesday preceding the next board meeting. Just a couple of times, and I think they probably happened on Tuesday meetings, but a couple of times I've suggested of maybe making this even earlier. And let's just say our regular schedule that maybe this is posted by Friday instead of Tuesday, and that gives you even more time over the weekend to go over documents that are put forward. But that's completely your call. I mean, right now I'm on that Tuesday schedule to make sure that things are posted. But if you need them earlier, this would be a good time to solidify that.
When is the deadline for agenda items?
Right now, the deadline is Monday at 3 o'clock, and then by Tuesday, I have to have them posted for you to see, but that gives you, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday to look over the material. And if that's not enough time, we can move these deadlines back a little bit.
Comment.
Go ahead.
I feel the way this last 2 years, the way you've done it, the way we've had it is plenty enough time. We know when it's gonna be there and we've got 2 full nights, and then the day. So I think we're fine.
Commissioner Scott?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I am as well, as long as it's typically there the night before, which I know has been a few instances, but there's been a few, but you typically let us know.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mayhew, Commissioner Serbrook,
I'm fine. Like I said, there's always exceptions to the rule.
And the last item is just the order of business on the agenda, and we're pretty consistent with the way the agenda looks. We have added number 3, that declaration of conflicts of interest, so that's proposed here as well. Now, number 5, from, I don't know how many years ago, number 2 always said the approval of agenda and notice of board meeting rules, but we've been pretty consistent that at the time public comment is called, the chair reads those rules to the public, so they know what the rules are, 3 minutes and et cetera, and addressing the chair. So just an adjustment to where that happens. Then toward the bottom, we tend to, and I think it's the right way to do this, is to have public comment before you go into a closed session and advise the public before the closed session whether you intend to make any kind of decision after the closed session. But this allows the public to get their statements in and not have to wait around for what could at times be prolonged closed session conversations on, whatever that subject might be. So this kind of cleans it up to show, reflect the current practice. And so that hopefully is something that would meet with your approval. That's it as far as my notes from the past couple of years.
anything else, commissioners?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just the one point that we changed a little bit. I asked that in the committee to the whole meeting that we had a commissioner comment period, and that was really, I didn't want to make it a commissioner report time. We already do that in our regular meetings. I was kind of just hoping that we just got a chance to comment about whatever happened in the meeting or something like that. It's no big thing, but that's the reason I put it in there. It just seemed like we got down to the end of the meeting and there was no other time to make a comment. Most of the time I don't have something to say, but I just thought it'd be good to put it in there.
It's kind of turned into a report.
Yeah, sometimes.
I guess I'm not sure. I don't think it's a bad thing, because sometimes as we move forward
can be
in the
tough.
meeting, you forget something that maybe you want to say, or something else comes to mind.
That's all.
Yeah, it isn't, but it wouldn't be put in this. This is for the regular
Right.
this is for the regular meetings.
Yeah, well, it's just, there isn't another list for the committee
of the whole.
whole. But maybe a declaration of conflicts of interest on the committee as a whole wouldn't be a bad thing either, because we have an agenda. And if there's something on there, it'd be good to know it ahead of time. Would affect our discussion.
Any further discussion? So we have a motion from Commissioner Scott, support from Commissioner Serbrook, for the resolution to approve Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5C, resolution to approve calendar year 2025 standing committee members.
I'll make a resolution to approve.
Motion from Commissioner Scott. I'll support it. We got discussion.
Yeah.
Tim, do you want to take this?
Okay, on the committee structure, it's attached to the resolution. You see the 2024 membership. You see Commissioner Simmons' name in red in every place that she appeared. So obviously if you wanted to just the other 4 want to remain on the committees you're on, we would have to do something where Commissioner Simmons is. I don't know that Commissioner Serbrook necessarily wants to serve on all of those, but you can have that conversation. Now, Commissioner Welty, I apologize. You are crossed out twice here. The reason is that the transit, opioid settlement, and the budget committee are all established as advisory committees. It's a different set of rules. So we're taking it off from the standing committee and recognizing it as those advisory committees in a later resolution, I think 2 resolutions from now. So where you are now is wanting to establish which of these standing committees each commissioner would like to serve. You're obviously not committed, even though you served on a committee last year, you're not committed to serve on it again. This is totally up to whatever the board decides.
So we have claims and accountants, insurance, law enforcement, negotiating, ordinance enforcement, personnel and policy. And that's it for that. So have you had an opportunity to look at this?
I have, I would be more than happy to take and assume the positions that Brenda had, except I don't know if I can deal with Craig on doing
He's got claims.
claims and accounts twice in the same year. I don't know, no, I'm just kidding, I'm
He's
just
got
kidding.
first
That's all
quarter
right.
and fourth quarter.
I'm just kidding.
And our insurance was, Commissioner Simmons and I did not meet at all on that. Now, we did meet with the personnel and policy, but that's kind of at a standstill until negotiations are done.
Right.
So are you guys okay remaining on the law enforcement, the 2 of you guys? I would personally
am.
think you should.
I am.
Yeah, I definitely think we should.
Was there any?
I think that continuity with everything that's going on right now is the most important thing.
All right.
Quite frankly, and I'm a firm believer in when we start talking about some of these outside ones too, I think that,
We'll get there.
right,
Negotiating.
I'm just saying that I think the continuity is the important thing. And I served on negotiating when I was on 2 years ago, so it's not like it's a new thing for me, except that I know our attorney is much more involved this time around than was the last time, and I don't know exactly where we're at with negotiations or
Can I
anything.
make a
Well,
comment?
full disclosure, if you serve on that committee, you will have a meeting next Thursday, beginning at 11 o'clock for mediation.
That
So
is,
That's my question. Would you like to serve on
definitely,
negotiating? as well?
yes.
Okay, Commissioner Wiltie.
Not this is a big deal. I appreciate what you guys are saying, because I do think it's important that me and Commissioner Scott stay on at law enforcement board. And again, not a big deal, but I have been taking on the role as the chair. I just think that it should be corrected on here. Again,
Where are we looking at?
Oh.
it just shows Commissioner Scott as the chair,
Flip
yeah,
flop.
just
But not
for, just
law
for record
enforcement.
reasons.
Yeah,
Any other discussion?
I'd just soon stay on the claims and account schedule like that. That's fine with me.
So as of right now, what we're doing is just slipping Commissioner Serbrook in where Commissioner Simmons is, which would give him the first and fourth quarter of claims and accountants. It would give him the insurance, negotiating.
Yeah.
And that's it and then personnel and policy as well. You okay with that?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? That's just the standing committee members.
Oh,
We have a motion, Commissioner Scott. I support it. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5D, resolution to approve calendar year 2025 liaisons to various boards and commissions. Someone like to entertain a motion?
Oh,
Commissioner,
Go ahead.
Commissioner Mayhew actually had it, so Commissioner Serbrook, would you like to support it?
I will support Commissioner Mayhew's motion.
So Commissioner Simmons was very active in a lot of these. I guess before we get to that point, how do you guys feel about where you've currently been? Pardon me?
I want to be off the health department board.
Okay, so the Michigan Health Department, number two members meet on the last Monday at 8:30. Now, aren't you currently on that, Commissioner? Serbrook?
No, I'm on, community mental health.
Oh,
I was on district health number 2 when I was a commissioner 2 years ago.
They meet at Mondays at 8:30 a.m.
And they meet,
everywhere.
well, what they do is they meet 4 times a year. This month will be in West Branch. Then 3 months from now, they will go to they'll either go to Iosco, Oscoda, or Alcona. So they rotate those. And the other meetings are all in Hale at the
Harrison.
the old high school in Hale is where they hold the other
You
meetings.
said Harrison as well? Harrison as well?
Harrison or Harrisville.
They go to each one of the counties. So they go to Harrisville once a year, they go to West Branch once a year, they go to Mayo once a year, and they go to Tawas.
That's a lot of traveling.
And then, all the other meetings are held in Hale at the old high school.
You would like off of that?
Yes.
Is there anybody that would like to replace Commissioner Mayhew? Is that something you're in?
I figured I was gonna replace Brendan. She was already on District 2, so I don't have a problem with it.
Yep, she was a backup. So would you like to do, anybody, is everybody
Well,
okay?
there's always, she's not just a bag, there's two commissioners from each county that serve on that board.
Oh, yeah, it does say two members.
There are two members, yes.
I read that out loud, sorry. So you would like to be one of them? Is there another?
I said I'll do it. Doesn't mean I don't want to, I'd like to.
Tim, does there have to be two members on there?
I think that's part of their structure.
The structure is that way, yes. Each county, I'm sorry. has
No, you were gonna say.
Has two members, so.
Comments?
I nominate Commissioner Scott for the second.
Oh, I don't want to be on it. I don't. I'm on quite a few now.
They are extremely long meetings too, aren't they, Roger?
Yeah, you said that was the problem, is that
Really?
it was
They go,
much a day, by the time you drive there,
yeah, you're,
lengthy meetings, it's most of the day. I don't,
Last Monday at 8:30 AM. Huh? How do you do that?
I did it. Harrisville's a fun one, Craig.
Yeah, I know how far Ayersville is. All right, I'll get on there with,
greatly appreciated.
We do,
Anything else that either, any of you would like to get off of? Anything else, Commissioner Mayhew?
No.
Would you like to maintain on what you're out, the other ones that you're currently on?
I'm on one, but I never know when they meet, and that's the one at the courthouse on security.
Oh, okay.
we get emails on those.
There you go, I'm not the email guy.
How often it says they're meeting Wednesdays in January? Meet second Wednesday in January, April, July, and October.
Right there, now you know.
As long as I can find out, I'll be there.
Is there anything else you'd like to get off of?
No,
Anything you'd like to get on?
nope.
Commissioner Scott?
let's see, small place. I'm fine with what I got, plus this one you gave me.
Commissioner Wiltie?
I'm involved with a lot, but I would like to stay on. I think 2 years isn't enough. I'd like to have a little more time with everywhere I'm at.
An option, I haven't been nearly as active as I would like to be, but it's time related, which is the opioid committee, and that may be something you're interested in. The meetings are at 4:30, they're before. Again, my situation has changed. I'm not making any excuses, but it's very difficult for me.
No, I
So
understand.
most of the time I'm listening from point A to point B.
I'd be more than happy to sell,
Commissioner
done that.
Wiltie is the chair there and it really is a really good board, and they're headed in a very good direction. I don't have the ability to give 100%, so. Anything else?
I have a question.
Yes.
And this is something, just wondering, because I know we made a big commitment to our county by not asking or taking any raises. Did that also include, and I wouldn't really want to look into this more until after we start seeing numbers from October through December, but did that also include then like, our travel costs and everything as well? Or is that a whole separate entity of this salary?
Right, I'd have to revisit that resolution to get the exact wording. We did remove the per diem component to that. And I believe the rule on the travel was if it was outside of the county, it would be reimbursed. Inside the county, it would not.
Okay.
So if you had to travel to Harrisville, that would be reimbursable.
So when we had the conversations of no raises, that also included the per diems for all the meetings.
Right,
Other than if that unit, if that entity gives a per diem and pay the commissioners per diem, but it won't come out of the general fund.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
I just wondering.
That's a fair question. And actually I had thought about and I didn't bring up again as us revisiting that prior to today. Because I know when we made that decision as a whole, a lot of other really tough decisions were being made and now that's a 4-year commitment. I was hoping to revisit that prior to today, but obviously we can't now, but I guess it is what it is, but
Are you gonna be able to do, Michigan work still?
yeah, that's on Fridays. So I can do Friday, I'm off on Fridays.
Oh, Fridays you're off. Well, then let's make meetings on Friday morning.
stay with consistency, and that may be something that we have to visit. I'm not, Fridays are my day. I've made that very verbal, so any meetings on Friday, I can attend.
And I think that's something that we could talk about.
Let's see where this goes right now, and let's move forward. Yes,
There's a couple of things I would like to bring up
yes.
in these liaison positions. Department of Health and Human Services. Currently, if you look at the list, it says Jane Alstetter. I was appointed, Jane resigned from that board. I was appointed to fill that board position as a
Community member.
county resident, community, whatever. Charlie's on it. We've talked to the board and I don't know what the situation is there. If both of us could still stay on the board or not, or if it has to be, they wanted both of us to stay if we could.
Yeah, we both, the last meeting that we had, it was brought up and they would really like us to stay if possible, but it's something that, I guess, Tim, would you be the one to?
I'll do the research, yeah.
And the other one is Vance, formerly known as Osable Valley Community Mental Health. Brenda Simmons was the board appointee as a county commissioner. I sit on it as a citizen of Ogemaw County at large. So there's going to be a position available on that board. And that's one of those boards that has a huge learning curve.
Which board?
Community mental health.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You've been active in that.
I have been
Very long
I was appointed when I was a commissioner.
Yep.
And then stayed on afterwards as a citizen appointee because they had an opening that came about from somebody leaving, so, and then Brenda was on as the board representative, so I'm assuming, which I know I should not do, but I'm gonna assume that I would be able to stay on that board as the commission's appointee as a county commissioner, which would leave open a position on that board for a citizen at large that would then be appointed by this board to serve.
Tim, you're gonna look into that and find out?
Can I make a comment on that?
Go ahead.
The mental health deal is something that I've been talking to Tim more, and I was actually gonna bring in my notes today. Is that something that Tim could look into too also? Because I would be interested in possibly being on that where we could do the same thing like with DHHS, if that's okay with you, Commissioner.
It'll be fine.
Where you would stay in there and then I would fill but that's, I don't wanna, make problems or anything, but I just think, I think I would like to be on that if I possibly could.
And the way that board is made up, when it was set up, it was determined by the populations of the 3 counties that participate in it, which is Iosco, Ogemaw, and Oscoda. Iosco County has 6 members on that board, Ogemaw has 4, and Oscoda has 2.
And when is those meetings?
They are the 4th Monday of each month at 5 o'clock, I believe. Yes, 5 o'clock.
The 4th month?
And then there are 6 different committees. Right now, I'm on 3 of those. I'm the chair of one of the committees, and I'm sit on the other 2. I'm the chair of the facilities committee, and I sit on executive and finance and the program committee. So Brenda was only on one committee. So if it was possible and you were to fill, you'd only be on one, and you could participate via Zoom if you needed to. It's not a big deal, so.
Commissioner Simmons was also on NEMSCA, which is the first Friday at 10 a.m. Are you able to that?
I should be fine.
If you need a backup, I can back you up on that one.
Thank you. Since you have Fridays available.
Go
I did NEMSCA, my
to Alpena and Sheboygan.
that's the problem is, yes, it is a full day. I mean, it really truly is. And weather related.
Say Fridays, I could go to, if I was in Sheboygan, then I could just jump across the Boise.
There you go.
Island
There you go.
for the weekend.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed, motion carries. Item 5E, resolution to establish and appoint members to the special advisory committees.
I'll make a motion to pass the resolution.
Motion from Commissioner Scott, support from Commissioner Serbrook. Has everybody got those? Mr. Simmons was on the Budget Advisory Committee. But I believe she was a chair for that, correct?
He was.
What else was she on? The Transit Advisory Committee as well, Commissioner Serbrook.
Yep.
When is the transit meet? Oh, 11 a.m. The 3rd Thursday. You just answered my own question.
Good.
Go ahead.
Are these forms here, Tim, application, are they new or?
I was gonna get to, hang on.
Oh,
we're
I'm
gonna
sorry,
get-
go
No,
ahead.
you're okay. Is there any issues with that, Commissioner Serbrook?
No, and you want me to take your spot on the opioid settlement, correct?
If you're able to.
I am.
It's right before this
Yep,
meeting.
yep, no problem.
Anything you're on as far as that goes? As far as these,
Oh,
the
I'm not on.
Special Advisory Committee, Commissioner Wiltie, are you still okay? With this list?
Yes.
Okay, next we have applications for appointments for standing boards of commissioners.
Okay, I just, for my own benefit, I'm kind of OCD this way. Was there a or anybody move?
Well, I moved to pass it to just
Scott,
discussion.
Mr. Serbrook.
Just the key to this. Let me finish this. One thought, so I don't miss it. Okay, so you mentioned Commissioner Simmons. We'll jump down to the opioid settlement committee. That Patricia Otremba, she would be new to that committee if you choose to appoint her. So her application is present. Anybody who's an incumbent, we didn't require an application because they're an incumbent there already. So that's the only new name that you see. The other names on here, Brian Gilbert, Dr. Roshan Mabar, Justin Rogers, Tara Rose, LaDonna Schultz, Blair Smalley, and Tricia Ziegler. A few of these members did respond and say they didn't wish to seek reappointment. Others haven't attended. Frankly, a couple of them attended maybe the first meeting, and we haven't seen them since then. We are at a point with this committee where they're going to need to start making recommendations to you, and it's going to be very important that they can establish a quorum. So you definitely want members who can attend the meetings and help that along. I think without that, we would need to think about a different structure, but this committee works so well together. And I know Patricia Otremba has been in attendance, I think virtually all of those meetings, not even as a member, but participating and offering outstanding input. Down at the Housing Committee, we have just a few different anomalies here. Nancy Tyree asked not to be reappointed. She was appointed to, I think, a treasurer position or clerk at Ogemaw Township.
Treasurer.
And came to realize that that's an awful lot of work. So it came down to picking and choosing, and while she was elected to that position, so has asked to not be reappointed. Jamie Green and Laura Hanlon have presented us with applications for appointment to this committee, and you see those attached. And then Paul Frechette was nominated by the city of West Branch to act as a proxy, I would say more as an alternate, for when Kathy Zimmerman is not able to attend. And that's something different than what you considered in establishing these advisory committees before. So if you want to do that, would want to make that part of the resolution. Otherwise, yeah, all the other names that are in black print are incumbents who've expressed interest on being appointed.
Do you have anything to add? You're on the Housing Committee. Do you have anything to add to that, Commissioners? Wiltie?
For appointments?
Yeah. Any comments at all on this list or?
Sean, I see you here tonight. Are you wanting to be on the committee still?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he said any black print already, but
We had a pretty extensive text today from him. I think it was you. I'm assuming it was you.
Fine.
so we'll probably see another name come up in a meeting from the housing committee looking to replace Nancy.
Well, I would submit that one of at least Jamie Green or Laura Hanna, or both. I mean, you're not limited in terms of who you appoint, so
Yeah.
you could appoint them both, but you just wouldn't see Nancy's name there anymore.
Right.
And what I'm pointing out too, there's one other blank that we have to fill in. As the board, you can establish 1-year term, 2-year term, 3 or 4. It wasn't such an issue 2 years ago because these committees, first of all, I think most of them were established in the second year of your term. So it was very easy. The cutoff was December 31st to 24. But now with a 4-year term, you have the option of making these 1-year terms, whatever, at your discretion. I would suggest that they just run them concurrent with your term. So up through December 31 of what, 28, I think it is.
Yeah,
At
it'd be
least for sure.
20, it would be 28.
At least for sure, 2 years.
I'd like to see it, I'd like to see a 1 year.
A 1 year?
I would at least like to see staggered terms on a committee.
Okay.
Like every,
2.
you know, 2-year, 4-year or something like that, because otherwise you can flip a whole board in a year.
My only concern is it's kind of like Tim was saying, you know, this opioid settlement committee. It's such an opportunity we have right now as a county, as do all the counties in the state. And we need the people that are gonna be on the board. I appreciate Commissioner David, you had a lot of great insight in that, but I understand with your work restraints. But I just don't want to be locked down to people that are just simply, they're wanting to be part of it at first, and they change their mind, something happened, and they're not involved, and they're still board members.
We can revisit that, correct, Tim? And that's not for, you're asking us right now for our term, correct? These individuals on here already have an expiration.
They've expired, and so you would be.
We're set up for them as well, right?
When we discuss the term, you know, if it's 1 year, 2 year, whatever. And I would just remind you too, you're gonna be right back here next year, choosing your own committees and so on again. So maybe 1 year term would be the way to go. You just do them all at once.
Comment.
Go ahead.
I guess the reason I say, yeah, we're right here. It's not like we've got 50 of these we gotta go through. There's only so many. I don't see a reason to lock it down for 4 years.
Right, but I understand what you're saying, but I would hope, I mean, the people on this board are professional. I would hope they would have the ability to do, and you guys did reach out to individuals on the opens. You guys made contact with them, the ones that were not participating, and obviously they were okay stepping aside. This is still an evening. It's taken us an hour to get thus far. It takes a lot to learn this job, a lot. I'm still learning at Michigan Works, and I've been there, I think, five years.
Well, comment, if they're doing their job and they're involved.
Lindsay, let me finish, please.
Sorry, that was my bad.
Thank you. I understand the point of what you're making. It is a good idea to revisit these and see who's actively participating and who's not, but I also think that that specific committee, it's important for them to reach out and make communication and then possibly come back to us. I mean, I understand. I guess thoughts, Commissioner Wiltie?
Yeah, I would just like to do 1 year.
Scott?
Yeah, this time, let's go 1 year. We can always change it next year.
Commissioner Serbrook?
I agree. We're gonna, like Tim said, we're gonna be here years from now, to this exact same thing again with our own, so might as well include the special advisory committee members as well.
Commissioner Mayor?
Me,
Okay,
pass.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 6. Is that where we're at? Are we on? Wait, special advisory, we just did that one, correct?
We need to make the appointments, don't we, man?
Pardon me? We did.
Did it all in the vote.
The applications that we had, those were included.
We just approved all of them.
Right.
Right.
That was-
Just making sure.
Commissioner comments. Are there any? Commissioner Scott?
No, I look for us to have a pretty productive year. I'm looking forward to it.
Commissioner Wiltie?
And we're at the end of the meeting now?
We're under commissioner comments.
Okay.
Item 6.
Yeah, just a few things I'd like to.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I reached out to Tim and some of my concerns regarding animal control village, the racial situation. I do understand completely that there's no other shelters in Ogemaw County. I understand what the cost it would detail in order for the county to own its own building, the maintenances, the insurances, everything else. So I definitely feel this is the direction that we need to head in. It's the only, really right now, it's really the only option that we have. My big concern, and I asked him today, and I'd like him to communicate with them, is that we have complete transparency, communication from them, I'd like to see at least once a quarter, a representative come to a meeting and talk to us about how things are going, so we can ask them questions. This is a big deal. It's a big change of the way we had things in the past. It's a expense the taxpayers, the majority voted yes for. And I think it's real important that transparency is there. And again, it's new. This is new, a new type of way of doing that. So I really think that communication is very important. And I asked Tim to do that. Mental health, as I said earlier, I'd asked Tim, we had a MTA meeting where we had an individual come and she spoke regarding mental health and, how that's continuing to increase in Michigan and every state in the country. And I asked him to reach out to her for beginning of this year to have her come to a meeting and talk to us. And I'd like to see that happen as soon as possible. Then also piggyback that with, the discussions that we've had is, now we have a correctional facility that's only being used for 72-hour lockup. The majority of the building's empty. We really need to work hard and brainstorm and strategize to keep conversation going and see what options we possibly could have to use that building and create revenue for the county. We know mental health isn't a possible option there, so I would like that conversation to continue consistently. Law enforcement meeting we had just before this. We've got some big challenges currently facing us between the sheriff department and the new system that we have at the jail. We've tried to be very consistent with the meetings every 2 weeks with the stakeholders to be able to, combat these problems and get them fixed and streamline everything. And we've had a few more issues arise. We're really hoping that a face-to-face meeting with all the stakeholders will happen as a special meeting, and that'll be coming up sooner than later. Tim's gonna help quarterback that, along with Danielle with District Court. Another item we talked about, and I'm happy to report, is the 24/7 road patrol coverage. We did have that, cadet came through middle of December and is now employed. The sheriff department did hire another road patrol officer that's MCO certified, used to work for us, and he is now on the road. So we currently do have, and Commissioner Scott, you know exactly what that is, but we currently do have extended coverage now, evening coverage. Do you know exactly how much? I know we have it, but we don't know exactly.
We have a shift. We have a shift that works a night shift out of two. Out of two, we have one shift that works. So,
What do you mean?
well, there's two patrol officers per shift. You know what we've talked about. There's an A shift and a B shift, both in the daytime and the nighttime in order to cover 7 days a week. So, one of the shifts at night is filled now.
Do you know what hours?
Well, it's 12-hour shifts, I believe, but it's, the shifts run like 4 days 1 week, 3 days the next, in order to fill up an 80-hour 2-week pay period. That's how they work, so I can't tell you what days they're on, and I don't think the sheriff wants to tell you.
Want to put that information out?
Yeah, the sheriff doesn't even want to tell you when they're working, because it's, that's
So
part
those
of
are
it
still
too.
open positions before we get back to 24/7?
There still is one position open in the allotment, yes.
And that their other gentleman's probably still in training, so we're headed there.
Yep, we're heading there, and the sheriff said that he thinks he has a strong candidate that would be ready to go for the next academy, which would, that would all go well, would get us into that final position still available. I did ask the sheriff if we could get more coverage before that would, because that's gonna take some time. And they said they're working on it, they've got some things going on, we did have a homicide in the county, which from the sheriff saying it's taken up a lot more responsibilities and man time. So they understand the importance of it. It is good to see that we do have more extended coverage, and I just hope that we continue to get more sooner than later. We'll just continue to stay on that and continue to update the public as we move forward. We do realize the importance of that.
So I hear you as far as not putting I didn't mean to interrupt,
No, you're fine.
putting all the information out there, but we go back to our township meetings and that seems to be something we're continuously being hit on is, so we have to have an answer to report somewhat of an answer or response to them. People are getting ready to pay their taxes. So they are seeing that millage on there and they want an explanation and they deserve one. So I appreciate that feedback.
So I think the explanation would be, you've got 24-hour road patrol, 3 days 1 week and 4 days.
So I appreciate that update.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we did ask, the sheriff and other sheriff said they couldn't make the meeting tonight, but I did ask them to try to come to our next meeting so they could also share this information. And then also, another item from the law enforcement meeting. It's an item that's been out there for us. It's something that we have to get figured out. There's two items, one being the jail administrator position. We tried again to have good, strong conversations today with the sheriff, especially, hitting the fact that, the former lieutenant of the sheriff department did a fantastic job. It would be a promotion for him to take the jail administrator position. And sadly, the sheriff continues to take his stance that he will not do that. So we have got to get this figured out. I guess we don't have an answer for it today, but it is something that's been in the works for a long time. We have a budget. I stress again, like I do many times, the fact that these decisions we made 2 years ago and decisions we made in September were hard decisions, but they needed to be made. Financially, Ogemaw County could no longer go to the level that it was for years and years and years. And that's one of the reasons we got in the financial position we did. We had to make changes. And there's no other options at this point. These budgets that we set, they need to be followed. So sadly, we are still at a standstill with that. And then I brought up the three positions that were promoted by the sheriff that are clearly not on our budget. And he still clearly stands that he's done the right thing there. Again, the biggest problem with that is the precedence that this is setting. I will say this again, I've said it to everybody, us as a board, we are not trying to defund the police. The sheriff budget is larger today than it was 5 years ago. I mean, we're clearly trying to support him. Yes, we had to get rid of some officers a number of years ago because clearly we were at a level that we just simply couldn't afford, just like the jail. We had a jail that was built that Ogemaw County cannot afford. So what did we have to do? Sadly, we had to close it. There's nothing else that can be done. We have to get this financial position of Ogemaw County figured out, and these decisions had to be made. Sheriff Gilbert stands by the fact of what he did with these promotions. I did ask him now that there is 2 more deputies, because when we talked about command, we were at a point where they wanted 5 command officers. You'd have the sheriff, the undersheriff, the lieutenant, and 2 sergeants. And that would be more command per not even 1 deputy. It doesn't make sense. I can't make sense of it. Sheriff's trying to make sense of it to us. I asked him to come in. We have 2 more deputies now to tell us what exactly is going on, why they need these, and we've got to communicate and we've got to get this figured out. I mean, for the good of the county, for the good of our taxpaying residents, we've got so many great things going in Ogemaw County. These hard decisions we made, we're going to see next week the savings that it's made and the direction that we're heading. But we can't keep here and continue this battle. The Board of Commissioners, the Sheriff Department, and the jail. We've got to get this figured out. And sadly, I don't have an answer for that right now. None of us do. But we've got to figure it out, and we can't keep going the way we're going. It's not right to the taxpayers of Ogemaw County. That's all I have.
Tim, I guess, some things were just touched on that we haven't talked about in the last meeting or two. It sounds like you guys had a pretty aggressive law enforcement committee. I'm looking, I guess since this meeting just took place prior to this one, I'm sure you want to kind of gather some information before you come back to us, but is that correct?
Yes, yeah, always. Yeah. I had a very difficult time following the sheriff's logic as he was speaking. And I don't know, maybe I just am operating on a plane that just can't comprehend his logic. But right now you've established a budget. You've clearly done it within the statutes. There are 3 statutes that specifically address your authority to set staffing levels. It's unquestioned. And how the sheriff can just say, well, I don't agree, I'm going to do something different. I can't explain that logic to
It's
me.
not that he's saying it, he's done it.
And he's done it. And it's created a liability for the county, and we're going to arbitration. Okay, that's a liability for the county. And it just is, it's just, I'm at my wit's end trying to understand how he's comprehended anything to say that he has the authority to do this. He does not. You know, it's just flat out does not. His argument on the jail administrator is specifically focused on that position being a union position or not. I don't know how many times I can say, you don't make that decision as a board. That's something that happens down at PARA, the Public Employee Relations Committee. They decide where unions fall, who's eligible and who isn't. That's not your call. And frankly, that's never gone into the calculus about how this position would work. And that seems to be the only argument he brings out is you're trying to take it out of the union. I don't care if it's in a union. I don't think any of you care if it's in the union or not. It's just a matter of structure of how that department is run. And everybody, you know, it has a jail administrator of some form or another. It is a management position. They are typically salaried positions. That's the path that was chosen in the budget. The sheriff does not have the authority to say, well, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to make up a different position. He just doesn't have the authority to do that. So I don't understand, again, the logic of proceeding down that path when, you know, I mean, the board could just say, well, okay, fine, do whatever you want to do. But what precedent does that set? I mean, then any department can just hire whomever they want for whatever position. I don't think that's the type of chaos we want to see. I certainly would say it's not sustainable. I'm more concerned that if the board were to just say, well, just go ahead and do your own thing, that's setting us up to fail. There's just no way we'll succeed in that environment.
So what are we doing moving forward?
So right now, with the 3 promotions that were made illegally, I mean, that's going to go to arbitration. Obviously, I don't know how that's going to play out, but you know what our argument is, and we'll start with the 3 statutes and then we'll go from there.
When is arbitration? Do we know?
Not been scheduled yet. We have a process where we in the union will receive a list of arbitrators and each side will strike an arbitrator until we come to the last one that's not been struck out. And then we are, you know, hostage is a bad word, but we're hostage to that arbitrator's schedule. They tend to get booked up. So, I mean, this could be a months-long process before we even get in front of an arbitrator. Yeah, and then the jail administrator position, well, right now, there are 5 people working full-time at the jail. We have 5 correction officer positions. From my seat then, if the sheriff has not named a jail administrator, then those 5 are acting as correction officers. That's it. Now, as far as using the one officer, giving him full-time hours, that's going to exhaust the part-time schedule or the part-time budget in a hurry. But now we're going to get into having to really watch this because once we pass, I believe it's the 13-week threshold. And if that person has worked full-time hours for those 13 weeks, now we get to pay benefits for that position, which are not budgeted. So that's going to possibly come down to a worst-case scenario of at one point saying, Sheriff, you're out of part-time budget. No more part-time employees can work because there's no money. If somebody comes into work, well, it may come down to my having to notify those employees myself to say, there is no funding. You're assigned to come into work. You can't. What a terrible situation to be in and why. And I just, again, am at my wit's end trying to understand the why part. The board has done what legally it can do and has done. This isn't something that was done in a vacuum. We weren't behind closed doors. This is something that's been completely open and transparent. It was in June when these scenarios were first put on the table. And those are the times to be having these discussions. We didn't have those conversations with the sheriff until, what was that, September 26th?
And the reason being or stated was thought it would resolve itself.
Thought it'd go away. Yeah.
I mean, this is serious business. I'm surprised that that's the position that was taken, but it is what it is. So right now, literally, we're at the impasse point. As far as the budget is concerned, I mean, the only open position right now is a jail administrator. And so if he doesn't fill that, well, now he's down a person.
So comment.
Well, how much before, I'm sorry, because I don't want to forget, how much money is this ongoing? So everybody knows, because I've been asked out in the public, does this cost the county money to go to arbitration?
Yes. Yes, the way it works is that we agreed in the contracts to split the cost of arbitration with the union. So they'd be paying half of that, the county would be paying half of that. The way arbitration works is each side will present its case and the arbitrator picks which side wins. They don't split the result. It's either A or B arbitrator you select. There is hazard to us in that the arbitrator could not understand the way the statutes work and say, well, I'm going to go with the sheriff. At that point, we'll be talking about challenging that decision in circuit court. The statutes are clear. They're black and white. There's no question. That's why I feel even going into this that, hopefully we get an arbitrator that understands the statute and how they apply. It'll be up to our attorney representing our case to make those points clear and to articulate them, which I'm confident they will. But you have no guarantee what that arbitrator is going to say. So there is potential, then we could be at the business end of a decision that doesn't go well for us. We've talked about the role of Department of Treasury in all of this. Under Uniform Budget and Accounting Act, when they find something like this that happens, the way the statute reads, they are supposed to step in and, exact consequences on those who have violated the statute. They've been reluctant at this point to step in. I think I've communicated this to you because they're saying at this point, there's no damage per se. There's no money that's been spent. My argument is, but we see it happening. Why wouldn't we stop it before we got to the point where money is spent? And now we have to recoup the funds and go through all of that. I'm still hoping to receive some kind of communication from Treasury. And my optimism is dwindling by the day. Each day that goes by that I don't have it, I'm wondering if they're going to. So what's our next option? Well, we're going to maybe now have to talk to our attorneys about taking initiative. Now, do we have standing in court when it says Treasury is supposed to intervene? Well, that's the question. If Treasury doesn't intervene, can we have a court force them to intervene? I don't know. I mean, those are legal questions that we'll have to consult with our attorney about. But I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope reason prevails. I just, again, am not understanding the logic that's been presented to us. Makes no sense to me, but that's where we are. I mean, it's just unfortunate that we have a convoluted system of county government in this state that allows this kind of thing to happen. But this is exactly, unfortunately, the way both the state constitution and our statutes are written. As a co-employer, I can't force him to hire anybody.
The attorney has never dealt with this before, correct?
I don't think anybody has.
Okay, Commissioner Wiltie.
So I'm trying not to get too long-winded because the frustrations I have over this, I could probably sit here and talk for 45 minutes. I mean, it's really simple with where we're at. The bottom line is we don't want to go backwards. That's going to cause any possible chance of less protection in our courts. We have the opportunity right now, with God rest his soul, the loss of one of our corrections officers. We have another officer that's been with us in the department. He's trained, ready to go. We have a man who's more than capable of being the jail administrator and should be the jail administrator. You look around the state, what do jails have? They have jail administrators. And this goes back to what we've been talking about too, this buddy system. This is the way things used to be. This is the way we're going to continue to do it. No, we can't do that. That's why Ogemaw County also has gotten in the position it's been because of that type of mindset. So the sheriff is trying to protect his people. I understand you want to protect your employees, but this is a business and who we need to protect is our county, our residents. And we can make this so simple right now that this person could, it's a promotion to be a jail administrator. We have another certified person ready to go into that full-time corrections officer's position. It would go so smooth. Therefore, we make sure that there's going to be no loss of protection in our courts on court dates. But yet here we got to sit here and just keep going back and forth on this. It's just absolutely, it's ridiculous that we keep continuing to fight this. Like Tim said, in June, this budget was brought to us, it was talked about a jail administrator. And sadly, the sheriff department, the corrections, they chose not to come to the table, to come to our budget meetings, to talk about this, when in June they knew about this. And now we're in the first of the year. We just cannot continue this. We've got to find resolution.
Commissioner Scott, do you have anything? You were part of that meeting.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, what we got here is we got a guy that worked for the sheriff's department for 30 years and he wants to keep doing things the way we always did it. Well, we can't. The only reason we got road patrol at all is the county residents voted for it. If we didn't have that road patrol millage, we'd probably have a sheriff and under sheriff and maybe one deputy. And we might have a fully running jail, but we wouldn't have a sheriff's department if it wasn't for that millage. But because that millage is there, it is now not affecting our general fund. So we had to cut the general fund. The sheriff thought we should take one person out of every office in the county building. You can't do that. Even if we did, it wouldn't have paid for it. One person out of every office wouldn't have paid for it. We had to look for a place to find the money. The only other place there was the jail. Now we got a balanced budget. We finally got a balanced budget over 20 years. We're looking at a piece of paper that says, I'm not taking money from another fund. And we got a guy that doesn't want to change. He wants to operate the way he thinks that we should operate like we have before, like when we had deficit budgets. Please come around. You got to come around. You're not going to provide all the services you did before because we can't afford to. Well, now he's on this kick because there was that murder in town. Well, as far as I'm concerned, let the state police. They got investigators and detectives and all kinds of people. Let's patrol our roads with what you got. We're not taking away from you. And I think that we're going to see first quarter results here pretty soon. And when we do, I think we're going to see some light at the end of the tunnel. And it's not the train. And it's just stonewalls us, we're burning up overtime because he doesn't want to change. We told you in June, the way you operate is going to be different than you have before. Well, I don't want to. Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to either, but in order for us to do it, in order for us to make the county right, you have to do things differently. And he just doesn't want to change. And we're at that elected official bump. It's not like county, it's not like private business. I don't hire the guy,
Was just hoping that we would be slowly moving forward. We were hoping that the hard decisions were already made and we could heal and move forward as a whole, but unfortunately, it doesn't sound like that's been the case. So Commissioner Serbrook, do you have anything to add to this conversation?
Specifically this conversation?
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you from experience.
Yep.
I was a jail administrator, which was a non-union position. Again, as Tim pointed out, it's not our decision. It's not the sheriff's decision. It's somebody else that makes a decision as to whether or not that's a union position or not. As far as these promotions go, the man needs to stick to the budget. You have allocated so many slots and determined the level that they're supposed to be at, and I agree 100% with everything that's been said here. And I lived through back in the 80s and experienced somewhat similar to this, where the sheriff actually sued the county board of commissioners, and I'll tell you, be very frank, it was a living hell for 2 years for every employee, and I'm sure it was for the county commissioners as well. Hopefully there'll be a relatively fast resolution of this whole thing, and I hope it doesn't come down to this drag out. You know, Tim talks about, you know, a month for an arbitrator. I personally, I think, and I don't know what's been happening lately, but I was involved in some arbitrations in my former life. And one, it was a month before we even got the names almost, and then by the time you strike them, it's 5, 6 months down the road. So I would hope that we could get it resolved sooner than that, but don't hold your breath. That's what I'm saying from my past experience. But again, that's been quite a few years ago. You know, it's just, I don't understand I don't understand the sheriff's mindset. I don't know what's going on. You can't just arbitrarily. If you could do this, you could make everybody a lieutenant. I want to give my guys pay raises. I'll make everybody a lieutenant because it's in the pay scale, and you can't do that. That's not, no.
The only thing I can say, is that when we did not agree to, because he did come to us with the promotions and we clearly said no.
Right, I saw
We did make it very clear that come back to us. It's not totally off, at this time, it's totally off the table, but come back to us with an argument in the future, in the near future. A
Right.
good, strong argument. Right now, let's move forward with where we're at, which was unfortunately making the jail a 72-hour hold, and
Right.
come back to us with more details, with more statistics, with more data, and then, you know, maybe we will reconsider. So it wasn't 100% off the table indefinitely. It was just a temporary, let's see where we're at, and just so you are aware of that.
No, you guys had what, option A, B, and I think there was a C option, if I'm not mistaken, when you were discussing staffing for the command positions. There was one with a lieutenant, 2 sergeants, and then there was a 2 sergeant, and then the 1. So I mean, you know,
So welcome aboard.
I just want you to know that I hold absolutely no animosity. You all know, you know, that I worked for 35 plus years for the sheriff, and you know, I'm behind this board 100% with the decision you made. That's why I said the continuity needs to stay where it is with those guys on law enforcement. You need to stick to your guns, and I know you're going to, you know, and I hate like hell to say that, quite frankly, but you know what? What's right is right. And what you're doing is the right thing.
Commissioner Mayhew, anything?
Nope. On a brighter note,
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I am happy to be here. Looking forward to the next 4 years, serving the citizens of Ogemaw County and working with this fine board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment.
Commissioner David, I had a few more comments.
Oh,
I know, but this is important stuff, Commissioner David.
everything you have to say, Commissioner Wiltie, is important. Go
Wow,
ahead.
thank you.
That was real.
Wow.
I,
appreciate-
go ahead, sir.
Just another thing that I did want to add on, and I appreciate the support of Commissioner Serbrook. Again, I would hope the public sees that. This is a man that is served for the sheriff department for how many years? And he's saying, this is not right, what's going on. This is not what we want. We want this to run correctly when we want to be able to work together and get through these hard times. But another question I had today, and this is something that has been alarming to me. And I asked the sheriff and the undersheriff. So as being the committee chair for law enforcement for my first term of 2 years, you know, we were very consistent with our meetings and watching the numbers of our jail. You know, we typically, you know, we were in that low 30 range. Sometimes you get 35, 36, and it would drop way low. Well, now since October 1st, we're seeing this consistent, if we had a line graph, and I'm gonna ask Tim, he can get one for us for the next meeting. We're seeing this consistent uptake, and it's increasing steadily. Today, we have 55 people, 55, 16 sentence, and the rest are in either at Gladwin. The sentences are at Clare and Iosco right now. And I just asked the sheriff and the undersheriff, are we doing something different? Because for 2 years, as we struggled, we saw these numbers, 30. I believe we were in high 20s at sometimes, 35, correct, Tim?
Yeah, we had one stretch that was in the, is it 29, I think was.
29, we were in the 20s. And now we're 3 months into this and we're at 55. So my question was, what are we doing different? I mean, that's a big difference. I could see if there's a range of, on average, 3 to 10, you know, but I mean, we're all of a sudden now in this range where we're 20 plus. Well, what are we doing different? I'm alarmed by that. And I think anybody that spends a little bit of time and thinks about that and thinks maybe what possibly could be going on should be alarmed also. 55 today. 55. Okay,
I would hope that with the quarterly report that you're planning on giving to all of us, that would be part of the data. It should be.
I actually finished December data today, so yeah, you'll definitely have that. We'll also look at the whole of the jail budget. I mean, this is the quarter we've been waiting for. We've still got a payroll yet that I want to see plugged in so that we have a good, complete number to work with. But it could be as early as the next meeting, you'll at least have some paperwork in front of you where you can see the trends.
Public comment. Oh,
sorry, I know. But I would like Tim at the next meeting because I do appreciate anybody that comes to our meetings, does insight. We had a person from the courts brought up some suggestions in regards to the jail administrator. Again, we need to stay eyes wide open. I'm not gonna, and I don't want any of us, and I don't see it happen playing any of the political games. If we have somebody that comes to us, has ideas and suggestions that might work, we should know about them. So I would appreciate it if, from what we heard at the law enforcement meeting, if you could bring that up next week, because we gotta get this figured out. We've got to get this figured out. We cannot continue this. It is not right for the residents of Ogemaw County. Okay, I promise you right now, I'm not gonna say another comment.
public comment. Yes, sir. Your name.
Douglas P. Marsh, 309 West Ripley Street, West Branch.
You have the floor. Doug.
I wanted to respond and comment on the venue of these meetings. Full disclosure, I'm the newspaper reporter, so I also come to these meetings as a professional obligation. I heard arguments to move back to the other location, which I haven't spent much time in, but based on what I witnessed, the arguments that I heard, this location is better for accessibility, hearing. This location is better for security. People inside can't get to sensitive areas as easily. Cost, it doesn't cost as much to keep this building open as the other one. The arguments in favor of moving back to the other location I heard were, looks better. The argument I heard in the subtext was intimidates little guys better. So I support staying here. That's my comment.
Thank you, sir. Public comment. Do you have any?
Dan Domzalski, Foster Township. I just want to say I commented last week and I'm glad to hear that the 24/7 is back, hopefully up and running. But I strongly think you guys are on the right path and you need to stick to your guns. I mean, are these 3 new positions getting paid already, or is there gonna be back pay if it stays on the books? And I just don't understand why this can't get resolved. I mean, this is not being run as a business in his particular department. And I'd like to see that get resolved sooner than later. I appreciate black and blue. I have a son in black and blue. I get it. I'm all for him. But this is just totally ridiculous that somebody in a political position like this can control the narrative. This needs to get resolved fast. Otherwise, we're gonna go backwards. And it looks like he's doing everything in his power to substantiate numbers with the prisoners and whatever. You're gonna make money by closing the jail. I get it, I see it. And we as taxpayers, we need to see that. And I'm glad the county's going in the right position finally. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Can I make a
Any?
public comment?
No, we can't. This is public comment only. On this telephone, public comment.
I can make a public.
No, Commissioner Wiltie, enough right now. Public comment on the phone. Any public comment on the phone? Public comment on the phone. Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
So you're denying my right to make a comment?
Favor say aye.
That is complete.
Motion is adjourned.
That's complete bullshit.
Say aye.
Talked about that.
100% complete bullshit.
Swearing.
It's bullshit.
That's
I
professional.
have the right to make comments.
Motion is adjourned.
Danny, can you tell me about the predator roundup?
Hey,
It's February.
Can we talk about it?
I want to talk about something again, complete bullshit.
Enough.
No, I just, we're trying to write up a preview for the event, and I heard that you might have.
Yeah, you want me to give you the number?
Yeah, get me in touch. Get me